Hi, welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway, founder of the Tudor Society and Anne Boleyn Files websites, also author of several history books. Those are just three of them. Okay, I'm going to take you to 1596 today, and that is in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, of course, the last of the Tudor monarchs. For on this day in Tudor history, the 27th of January 1596, explorer, sea captain and pirate Sir Francis Drake died of dysentery in Portobello Harbour, Panama. Who was this man? I think we've all heard of Sir Francis Drake, but who exactly was he? Why has he become so famous? Well, I'm just going to share with you a sort of a list of facts about Drake. So Drake was born round about 1539, 1541. Between those years, we really don't know because there are actually two portraits which give him different ages when he sat for them. And one kind of rewinds back to 1539 being his birthday, and the other one is 1541. So there's, a little bit of a question mark about his birth date. But he was born around then in Tavistock in the county of Devon in England. He was the eldest of 12 sons, that makes me cringe slightly, of farmer and Protestant minister Edmund Drake. Sir Francis Drake was married twice, but he didn't have any children. Now, Drake was around 23 when he made his first sea voyage to the New World. He went with his second cousin, who is also famous, Sir John Hawkins. So just 23 when he went to the New World for the first time. In 1571 and 1572, he undertook two trading voyages to the West Indies. And then in 1572, he took two ships, a fleet of two ships, on a marauding campaign against Spanish ports in the Caribbean, which of course wouldn't have made him very popular with Spain. In 1577, we have Queen Elizabeth I secretly commissioning Drake to lead an expedition to the American Pacific coast where there were Spanish colonies. Of course, she had to do it secretly because she didn't exactly want Spain to find out that, she was honing in on what was really their property. Only one of his fleet of 5 ships actually made it safely to the Pacific Ocean. His ship, the Pelican, was the one that made it through, and that was his flagship. On reaching the Pacific Ocean safely, the Pelican had its name changed by Drake. It became renamed the Golden Hind, which of course has become famous as well. And it actually took its name, the Golden Hind, from the coat of arms of Sir Christopher Hatton. Hatton being one of Sir Francis Drake's financial backers. So it became rechristened with the name the Golden Hind in celebration of it being the 1 out of 5 that actually got there safely. So with the Golden Hind, Drake then went on to sail along South America's Pacific coast, plundering towns and Spanish ports, and capturing Spanish ships that were laden with gold, silver and jewels, and sort of taking all of that in the name of Elizabeth and England. So definitely not a popular man with Spain. In June 1579, Drake landed just north of Point Loma, which is present-day San Diego in California. It was Spain's northernmost holding in the Americas. And he claimed it for England, for Elizabeth I, in the name of the Holy Trinity, and rechristened it Nova Albion, or New Britain. So he's claiming what was the Spanish port for Elizabeth, for England, for the Holy Trinity. He then turned south and made his way back home. He landed at Plymouth, which is on the coast of Devon, on the 26th of September 1580. His voyage had been 3 years long, and it had seen him circumnavigating the globe. So it is for this and for his plundering of the Spanish treasures and that he has gone down in history. He was, of course, this was all a secret commission from Elizabeth I, who was obviously very pleased with him for what he'd done and all the booty, all the jewels and everything that he'd brought back to England. And she rewarded him by knighting him on board the Golden Hind at Deptford. She knighted him on the 4th of April 1581. He was also made Mayor of Plymouth and a Member of Parliament. So lots of rewards for his good work against Spain. In 1585, he set off for the West Indies and the Florida coastline, again on a plundering mission. This upset King Philip of Spain, who started preparing for war with England, preparing his Spanish Armada. In 1587, Drake became even more unpopular with King Philip by destroying 37 of the ships that King Philip had been preparing for war just off the coast of Spain. So Philip was preparing these ships to attack England. Drake did, I suppose, the sensible thing on England's behalf and went and destroyed them. So they couldn't go against England. Drake was made Vice Admiral of the English fleet under Lord Howard of Effingham, and this of course was the fleet which was responsible for defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588. He and Howard organised fire ships which they sent into the Spanish the fleet that had formed. The Spanish had done I think it was a crest kind of formation. And these fire ships broke up the formation of Spanish ships, who then sort of sailed off. And he was present at the Battle of Gravelines as well. So again, he's famous for that, for the defeat of the Spanish Armada. Drake's final voyage to the West Indies and South America was a disaster, however. They were attacked by Spanish ships. He managed to survive a Spanish cannon attack on the ship he was on, but sadly succumbed to dysentery. When he realised that his death was near, apparently he asked to be dressed in his armour. And although he'd requested a burial on land, it obviously wasn't very practical at the time, for he was buried at sea in a lead coffin, along with his second cousin, Admiral Sir John Hawkins. Now, so Drake is famous for being involved in the defeat of the Spanish Armada. He's famous for his circumnavigation of the globe. But he's also gone down in history for two legends that surround his name. The first legend or story we have, which we have to take with quite a pinch of salt, is this story of how Sir Francis Drake was playing a game of bowls on Plymouth Hoe when he was warned of the approach of the Spanish Armada. Allegedly, Drake commented that, he had time to finish his game of bowls before he went off to defeat the Spanish Armada. He is making out he wasn't worried at all about the Spanish Armada. He'd just finished his game. So Plymouth Hoe, I think there's still a statue of Drake there. It's become the famous location of this legendary game of bowls that Drake was playing as he received news of the Spanish Armada. Another more interesting legend, well, I find it more interesting, is the legend of Drake's drum. Now, Drake apparently, according to this story, took a snare drum with him on all of his voyages. And it is said that shortly before his death, as well as calling for his armour to be brought to him so he could be buried in his armour, that Drake gave orders that this drum should be taken back to England and hung on the wall of his home, Buckland Abbey in Devon. According to this legend, Drake said that if England should ever be in any danger after his death, that somebody should beat on that drum and that he would return as a ghost to defend his country, that he would help defend his country. And it is said that the drum has been heard mysteriously beating at times when England has actually been in danger. The most recent occasion was apparently during the Second World War, when the British Army was being rescued from the beaches of Dunkirk. Another legend about this drum apparently is that if it's ever removed from its rightful home of Buckland Abbey, that the city of Plymouth will fall. It's a bit like that legend about the Tower of London, that if the ravens ever leave it, you know, the kingdom will fall. Well, if Drake's drum is ever removed from Buckland Abbey, the city of Plymouth will fall. Now, this was actually tested out once, for a fire broke out at Buckland Abbey in 1938. The drum was moved to Buckfast Abbey. A lady called Ursula Hill, who was serving in the Women's Voluntary Service in Plymouth in the Second World War, records how this legend, this saying about, if the drum was removed, then Plymouth will fall, that this was remembered after there'd been air raids on Plymouth. And it was remembered that, you know, the drum had been moved from Buckland Abbey because of the fire. And so they returned the drum to Buckland Abbey. And after that, although the West Country was hit by further raids, Plymouth itself wasn't. So, did the drum save the day? I just find it really interesting that legends like this, you know, grow up around these historical figures. But I just love the idea that, you know, if England's ever in any danger, that, you know, this drum starts beating for, you know, to raise Sir Francis Drake from the dead to come and save the day. So he was a colourful character in life, plundering all of those Spanish ports and ships, and he seems to be a colourful character in death too. So that's today's On This Day in Tudor History. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do subscribe to this channel with that button just there to be notified of further videos, but I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.